So here this is the content of the first chapter, the physical quantities. So we are going to discuss about the physical quantities, unit, systems of units, three types of physical quantities, types of the physical quantities, fundamental and derived. Of course, we will be discussing the supplementary quantities as well. Prefix for the SI units, and then other type of unit systems, then dimensions, fundamental and derived quantities, dimensions, supplementary quantities, and application of dimensional analysis, so and the limitation of the dimensional analysis, right? So let's first understand the significance of the physical quantities. What is the meaning of physical quantities? As soon as I say the physical quantity, what do you understand from there? What is a physical quantity? So you take anything, you take any kind of object or any kind of phenomena. If you can measure some of the quantities in that phenomena, then those quantities or those things will be called as the physical quantities. Like for example, if I take a box, I can measure its weight, I mean the mass, right? We can measure the dimension of it, I mean the area, length, volume, etc. So you can measure the area, you can measure the volume, you can measure the sides, you can measure the mass, etc, etc. All those quantities will be called as physical quantities. So of course, when we take anything, when we take any phenomena, when we are discussing these phenomena in the science, why we are discussing it? Because we want to measure it, right? We can do the experiment. Unless we can measure, we cannot decide anything. It means whatever we are going to discuss in this complete domain of science, all the quantities will be physical quantities. So we can say the definition of the physical quantities. What is that? Anything anything which can be measured. Can be measured, right? Okay. Now, how do we measure the physical quantity? That is the next thing. So, how do we measure? So, just think it. If I ask you, what is your height? So, probably you will say 5 feet 7 inches, or that depends on the person to person, right? But still, you have kind of measurement in feet, you can say in meters, you can say in the centimeters, right? So how do we measure? Just think it. We take a kind of scale, and using that scale we are going to measure the length. Okay, if I ask you what is your weight, of course that is actually the mass. So if I ask you what is your weight, then you will say, okay, my weight is, unless you are somewhere, generally we will use kilograms, right? In the SI unit system, it's the kilograms or either the pounds. So you will say let's say 60 kg. So how do we measure this mass? We are measuring in kilograms, grams, pounds, right? So what are these? The pounds, kilograms, meters, centimeter, kilometer per second, all those things. What are these? These are the things, or these are the comparisons which we are using to measure the quantities. It means, like for example, if you are saying I'm 5 foot, my height is 5 feet, so it means you are 5 times of 1 feet, right? So that feet will be called as the unit. That feet will be termed as the unit. So what is the unit? Unit is the a standard or the comparison that is defined for the measurement of the physical quantity. So unit is how do we measure? We measure the any quantity using the comparison or its standard, using a comparison, or you can say the scale or a kind of standard that is known to everyone, and that is called as unit. So next thing, the important thing, as soon as we come into the uh, science, although you must have learned all these things in the earlier classes as well, but still let's go through them so that we can go, we don't have any kind of doubt when we are going through these all these terms. So let's define the unit. So what is the unit? Unit is the scale or the comparison defined for the measurement of physical quantity. Right? So this is the unit. Sorry. So now let's take some examples for the units. Like for example, for the length it's the meter, for mass it's kilogram, for the current, electric current, it's ampere, for the area it's meter square, for the speed it's meter per second. So all these things are called as units, right? Okay, now in these units I can define a unit, you can also define a unit. Another kind of thing, like for example, I can call the 2 meter something as new thing, let's say quarter or something, right? Or twice. So that kind of system I can give, but that cannot be used everywhere. So when we are discussing the units, there should be some kind of units that should be internationally accepted by everyone. Everyone knows them. That kind of units will be called as SI units. So SI units or SI unit system. So SI unit system is the system of units that is internationally accepted of units internationally accepted. So like the length is measured in the meters, mass is measured in the kilograms, and time is measured in the seconds. Although if you take, there are other kind of unit systems as well, and there the length is measured in centimeter, mass is measured in the grams. So all other kind of unit systems we will discuss once we complete the units. Okay. Okay, now when I'm saying something is unit, some scale is unit of that particular quantity, at least that scale should follow something. Like for example, if I say that this is 1 meter, and from now onwards we are going to measure the lengths using this meter scale. So it should be having some kind of properties. First of all, it should be invariable, it should not change. Like for example, if I'm measuring this using this scale, the same thing which I'm measuring, I'm getting 2 meter, another person measures at some different point of time, he gets 4 meter. It means the length of this scale is changing maybe. So that kind of thing should not happen. It means if any kind of unit system or unit you are taking, that unit should be invariable. So it should be invariable, it should not change with the time. Second, it should be easily accessible. So for example, if I make a scale using the gold, so you are not going to buy a scale of made out of gold. So just for the measurement, so you cannot measure that quantity using that kind of unit or scale. So it means these units should be easily accessible. So just let's take some thought about these units so that we can understand it better. Yeah, we have discussed this much. Let's discuss some more examples so we can relate all these things with our life. Let's say you want to measure the mass of some person, or let's say you want to compare this is the person 1, this is the second person B. You want to compare which person is heavier. Let's say A says that to the B that you are heavier than me. So now you need to give some explanation. You are studying the science, so you can use the science. You can tell them using the science that which person is the heavier person. So for that, what you are going to do is that you will take a balance kind of made out like this. Okay, let me do it fast. Yeah, then you will place somewhere on the ground. It was initially balanced like this, and then you will put the first person inside this one of these balance. You will put this person inside this, right? Person inside it, and person you may put the some other object. Let's say you are putting the stone and you are balancing, right? Now it is balanced. Now what you will do, you will take out this person A and you will bring the person B this side. If you are bringing the person B and it goes down, it means the mass of this person is greater than this one. That's why it is not able to balance. Now this mass is equal to the mass of A. It means mass of B is greater than mass of A. So this is how you can compare the masses.